Hola amigos, welcome back to Super Amigo Squad, and this is the segment I like to call Rio's Rants. It's been a while since I've done one. Actually, we've refilmed this actual exact topic quite a few times because the either lost footage or the footage was not up to par, and I was sick when we did it, so I didn't think I was providing you with good enough content. So we'll definitely gloss over a lot of what we have been coming up. I am going to be making an announcement video as well. That way you can understand that we will be getting videos up constantly again, like we did promise. So it's been a long year. Anyways, so today's topic for Rio's Rants is DC related. If you couldn't tell, it's about Young Justice Season 3 getting its approval, which is honestly great because I enjoy that series so much. And like over the course of when it was being released, I wrote like 20 chapters worth of fan fiction if I could write a season of Young Justice, because as a writer, it's what we kind of do. It's you get inspired by something and just onward. Well, today's specific topic is about the opportunities missed and the things I'd like to see in Season 3. Let's start off with the basics. We all know the core of Young Justice. If you have not seen the show, this will have some spoilers, but a lot of it is stuff that I noticed and stuff that I think should have been mentioned. So if you don't want any spoilers, this is your last chance. Cut the video now. So, first on the list is, like I said, stuff I believe was missed opportunities. A lot of what is going on in Young Justice between the course of Season 1. Season 1 was beautifully done. They were able to carry in all of these different themes, give you these set characters that you become invested in. Like this Martian dealing with Martian racism and being uncomfortable with who she is. That's something that's relatable. Lots of people nowadays deal with racism and no confidence. Or Superboy dealing with the fact that he's a clone and wants to be seen as someone, as a part of Superman's family. It's a lot of stuff and a lot of topics that they deal with, which was beautifully done and carried out over the course of the first season. Now, the second season, and I promise DC, no hate against you, the second season was so rushed. It felt rushed. The entirety of the story is, you gave us this good idea and this good starting point, but then you just kept throwing in curveballs and doing nothing with them. Over the course of Season 2 is continuing our plot with the Light and all of their evil schemes and stuff like that. You introduced the Reach and Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, which is someone that I adore as a character. If there was like any other thing, and you even touched on the topic of Ted Kord, of the opportunities I believe were missed, you introduced Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, and talked about Ted Kord and made mention of him, but gave us no further context than that. You even you gave a cameo in Season 1 for Guy Gardner, and even talked about him in the possible new Justice League members, but had like no interaction between him or Blue Beetle that could have been set up in Season 2, considering both Earth's Green Lanterns that were on the Justice League, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, were up in space, leaving the one sole Green Lantern. It would have been a good opportunity to bring him in and deal with the fact that, oh hey, the Reach is seen as an enemy to the galaxy, as it's been done so many times in the comics. You want to see that kind of familiarity when you go from this comic book character to a show. The Bart and the Jaime Reyes friendship, their combination of their timeline, I really, really liked. But at the same time, I felt like a lot of stuff was skipped over. Like, considering that we added time travel into the mix, I felt like we should have, especially back to the Blue Beetle topic, there was an opportune moment to introduce Booster Gold. or which I'm still hoping for if we're going to especially touch on the fact that, you know, Bart time traveled and time traveling was acknowledged, that they could touch on introducing Booster Gold and Booster Gold freaking out seeing that there's a new Blue Beetle, whereas Ted Cord was already mentioned. They could go a little more into what happened to Ted Cord in this Young Justice universe. It's a lot, I know a lot was just said, but the bottom line of that is there's missed opportunities with introduction of characters, and I don't think enough background was done on Blue Beetle to simply just jump into the Reach storyline. I felt like we should have at least, I like that they gave him his story. I felt like if they were going to mention Ted Cord, they should have given us more on that. The next thing would be the mention, since we're talking about mentioning characters, Jason Todd. They gave us this whole memorial sign, and they walk past this memorial of a Robin that was obviously Jason, and yet there was no Robin-based plot that I saw that was even noticeable, other than Tim feels like he has a lot to prove, considering Dick was like the ultimate sidekick, and Dick was just not having any of this whole team up stuff, and even though he was in charge of the team, you can kind of tell he didn't want to be. Which, of course, leads back to the one little bit of character development you can tell from the first season is that Dick still doesn't want to be Batman. The mention, like the showing that Jason Todd statuette and then giving us Tim Drake, I feel like there was a lot more character development that could have been done for Tim, and there could have been something mentioned about Jason, but like I said, with the show getting canceled, it didn't seem like, it seemed more rushed. And speaking of Tim, another thing I believe we should have gotten more insight into was Wonder Girl and Tim's relationship. I don't think Cassie and Tim had a solo conversation with each other the entire season. It was, at the end of it, they threw us for this loop. What's the deal with them? Oh, they decided time is short because Wally magically disappeared. And that was just kind of like, why? How? That could have gone any number of ways. Like, Wonder Girl is in relationships with so many people, and considering in the comics that went along with Young Justice, they gave us the introduction of how they recruited Blue Beetle, was that they walked up and spoke to him with Wonder Girl. And he just kind of had this whole moment of, hey, she's cute, this seems like a good idea, let's do it. And then just threw us for this loop at the end, oh hey, time is short. So if anything, I hope that they do make up for that in season 3, so we can see more on their relationship, how that's going to work out. It's just, there's a lot of little things that bothered me, something that I myself was kind of like, why, what's going on here? Another thing is Miss Martian and Superboy. Now, I know a lot of people who do know me will say, you've always hated that pairing, but I always hate that pairing. It's a matter of, I like that they gave us this build up to their relationship, the ups, the downs, the crash, and the fall, and Connor called McGann out on her shit of completely ruining people's minds, and then it seems like she gets taught a lesson because she accidentally wiped Calder's mind, and all of a sudden, Connor's fine with her at the end of the season, and it looks like they're gonna make up, which I'm not really okay with, because I feel like they just glossed over the issue. Like, if Superboy decides that forgiving her is okay now because she did something wrong and realized it's wrong, when she should have realized that on her own without having to hurt a friend. It's just, I have issues with the way that it seemed like they were ending that. If anything else, since they're, like, that's just, there's so many more options. Like I said, I mentioned Wonder Girl. Wonder Girl and Superboy were a couple in the comics canonically, so, like, that was even a better option than what we're seeing now. Well, that's pretty much all of the issues I can think of right now that I have with that season, other than the mention of Tula and not getting a flashback for it. I kind of wanted to see a little bit of her interaction with the team, but we didn't get to see it, and that's fine. That's, like, one of those things that you kind of leave off, but, like, hey, any mention of all the stuff that the team has gone through, I would have liked to have seen. Like, how did we hit this point? But like I said, it was rushed. They did what they could with the time they had. And that's about all of the bones I have to pick with Season 2. Let's hope that maybe some of those things are remedied in Season 3. Now, on to the next half of my rant is stuff I'd like to see in Season 3 that have been hinted at, mentioned, just little stuff that I picked up on. Like I said, I'm already 100% on that Guy Gardner Booster Gold train. Not just because I'm a huge Justice League International fan, that's just me. I'd also like to see Supergirl, and with the character outline that they've shown for Stephanie Brown, I'd like to see Stephanie Brown Batgirl as well, if we end up getting into it. Because it looks a little like they might do the Batgirl Nightwing couple, and if so, if we get the Killing Joke in there, I honestly will cry like a little girl. I'd like to see Jason Todd return as Red Hood, throw a monkey wrench into the Light's plans, because they'd be like, oh, hey, is it those young heroes again? It's like, no, it's Jason motherfucking Todd. A lot of stuff that came up, as far as heroes go, something that I would like to see is Bombshell, a old Titan, not a super popular one, but within the comics they did mention, in the comics that went with it, the comics for the first season, one of the missions that they did do was to clear the name of an old soldier, which actually turned out to be about Captain Atom. As they actually cleared the name of him, proving that he didn't commit a murder which, he went to jail for, and they gave him an out by saying, volunteer for our science experiment, and we'll totally void any charges against you. And then they screwed that up. His molecules ended up scattering, and then he came back together, and is boom, Captain Atom. Whereas they skipped over a lot, and then in the comics they even introduced Major Force, which is, the reattempt after Captain Atom to do the same thing, Major Force as a villain, or he works for the government, which they kind of put it that he is working for the government now. If you look in the season 2 comics, that he is currently working for the government, so we'll see how that goes. But if anything, I would like to see this, see them use it, because in Season 2 of Young Justice, they did give Captain Atom a bigger part. He was in charge. He was a prominent Justice Leaguer for Season 2. So throwing in a character like Bombshell, I'd like to see, because I think that would just be what he needs to contribute to the team. Other than the background teacher you get in the comics that go with Young Justice. Other characters, like I said, really hoping we get to see Supergirl. I think we've hit on what we can for Connor's story so far. So I think the tossing of Supergirl versus Connor as they traditionally fight when they meet, because clones are taboo on Krypton, that would just be icing on the cake for me right now. Because other than, they did touch upon his not aging thing, which I think is great, that he only ages internally and not externally. But there's, like I said, depending on what they do, it's like a slippery slope. It kind of seems like they glossed over any of the Lex Luthor stuff, Season 2, and it kind of want to see them bring back the attention to their main characters. So, other than that, they've already said that Zatanna Zatara was an only child in the Young Justice universe, so I don't think we'll get to see a Zachary Zatara. I honestly thought that would be a good way to add him in, and then add Kid Devil, because they come hand in hand. Who knows, we might see it. But since we have Deathstroke, I'd love to see Ravager or Rose, because Rose would also be a good love interest for Superboy. So let's just the stuff that I want to see we've added in. We've got Bart. I'd like to see Wally come back, because traditionally it looks like what they're going with is that Barry might retire, since that he just found out he's going to be a father. So if anything, without the whole Professor Zoom murder scenario of Barry, they might just have him retire. Wally comes back. Wally's the new Flash, and Bart's Kid Flash. Just the stuff that I'd like to see. It's and then more touching, and since we're bringing in Darkseid, there's so much more. If they do bring in Orion, I hope they don't bring him in as a young person and as an older character for them to connect with. And New 52 stuff, if they bring in Coyote the Trickster, that would be interesting. Other than that, I do have high expectations for Season 3. I know it's because that I did feel kind of let down by Season 2, and I know that's not DC's fault. That's not anybody's fault other than the show having the merchandise issues that it did. But otherwise, it's a wonderful series, and I cannot wait to see them recover. So if you do have any questions or anything else you want to ask me about, let me know in the comments below. If you want to pitch a topic for Rio's Rants, also let me know in the comments below, or tweet me #Rio's Rants at Super Amigo Squad, and I will definitely take it into consideration. So thank you so much for joining us, and it's to be continued in the next episode. Bye bye!